Hello, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? I am fine. Um, Finally, pretty much got rid of the pain in my side. And what I believe happened is I was eating a roast and part of the skin or the fat I didn't cut away and I ate it. And I think it got stuck like right here in the digestive. And then I would eat more the next day. And since I really didn't clean up, since it was still stuck there, it got stuck again. And that's why I was getting pain after dinner. And then finally, this morning, I was able to get rid of the waste. And all of a sudden, it felt pretty good. I just had chicken for lunch, and I'm getting a little tiny thing there, but not too bad. The fact that it went away made me feel good, knowing it's not anything serious. I still have my whatchamacallit, how do you call it? The dizziness one. I still have that a little, the Jason Day one, but it's not too bad. I'm going to go to the doctor tomorrow and have him take a look at it. I tried some YouTube remedies, but I think it's my neck that's causing it, and but I do notice when I turn on my left side, it hurts. I was able to sleep fairly well last night once I got to sleep. I got to sleep. I woke up, and then after about an hour, I got back to sleep, and I slept in pretty good. Anyway, so that's me. Just stay positive, and you'll be okay. So first, let's talk gold real quickly. Just the price today, and then we'll get into baseball because I know some of the games have already gone. I hope you bet Detroit because Cleveland had a 12 ERA pitcher going against Detroit's ace, and Detroit's up like 12-1 or something. So you didn't need me to tell you that one, right? That this the weak ERA guy you're gonna bet against. All right, let's look at gold. Gold took a nice jump up $43. See, here's the difference between gold and silver. Gold's up $43, silver's up 62 cents. And that's the bottom line. So the fact on a percentage basis, the $30 silver goes up to 31. Oh, look at the percentage. I only went up 1.83 in gold. Yeah, but gold went up $43 versus 62 cents. I don't care about 62 cents like I do care about $43. And when you got a lot of gold, let's say you have 100 ounces, so you made $4,000 today on $43. So that's a lot of money, and you need a lot of silver to make, $4,000 today. But from what I hear, a lot of people have a lot of silver. But again, it's selling it. I mean, you go to Switzerland to sell it in the Swiss bank, and how much silver can you take? Gold, like I said, gold I can take 5 ounces and walk away with a lot of money. Silver, I need a whole box to walk away like that. Anyway, so gold is 24.16, silver 31.46. Again, gold up $42 roughly. It never really dived. It stayed level at 2 o'clock to 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock took a big run up, went from 23.79 to 24.09. Then the 10 o'clock US hit was very light. It was only $8, and then it jumped back up to 24.24, where the US has done another put derivative at 24.24, but it's not going anywhere, and now it's back to 24.16. So they're going to get nailed on all their derivatives, which is why they're gone. The U.S. now has Canada doing some derivatives, but they don't have gold to do it with. So I don't see any correlation. The fact that the dollar, the price of this gold, how it's affecting the dollar. Okay, so gold's up $42. It's 24.16. How does that affect the dollar? People with dollars still have dollars. People who don't understand gold don't understand it anyway. So I really don't understand any correlation. People, since gold's up, they're going to, now if you're going to sell your dollar because you know the dollar's worthless, that's fine. That's what you should. And it's irrelevant of the gold price. In fact, you'd want to buy it as the gold price goes up. You just sit back and you're going, oh, I just made some money. I'm not buying gold at a higher price unless I get a lot of money in, but my worth is going up. My assets are going up in dollars, which we know. And then once the dollar collapses, it'll just be gold. Like I said to Luke yesterday, Luke will just go and buy a car, buy a house with the gold. He's worried about trading it in and getting cash. I'm like, well, what if we don't have cash? You got to realize the cash is going out. Now they'll come out with a new dollar, I imagine. If it ain't backed by gold, it's the same toilet paper we're dealing with now, same monopoly. You don't want anything to do with it. You want to get off all the Titanic. You want to get off stocks, the bonds, all the money in the bank, the real estate trust, the annuities, anything to do with things that are paper, like Bitcoin also, you got to get out of, because this won't have a value. So what's your value? Bitcoin's worth $50,000. The dollar's gone. Now what's Bitcoin worth? Oh, you mean it's worth zero because there really is no Bitcoin? And the fact it's priced in dollars basically tells me I'm fucked if I owned it. Anything that I own in dollars. Your house and your car will go to zero, and then it will get priced in gold. Will stocks and bonds get priced in gold? Your money won't. Your real estate trust won't. Will your Bitcoin? I don't know. Who's going to want Bitcoin? See, you want real assets, right? So that's why I don't mind the Mantle card and the Montana card, or the house or the car. They're real assets. So if I have gold, the question is, what do I want to buy with my gold? Yeah, I'll buy a house and a car and a Mantle card and a Van Gogh and a Picasso. Do I want to buy a Bitcoin? What's it worth? I don't think I want to buy it, because I don't. The difference is it's a collectible Bitcoin, but the difference is it isn't anything. The Mantle card's the Mantle card. I can hold the Mantle card and I go, it's a Mantle card. Well, like I know it's the Mahomes card, right? I have it. It's a card. It's Mahomes. It's 50 count. Yes, I could give you a little gold for this card because it's real and it's physical and it's limited and it's Mahomes. But Bitcoin's more like this. Bitcoin's more like this Chris Carter card. Now, this Chris Carter card, they only made 138 of, so it's very limited. But who wants Chris Carter? Would I give you gold for him? No, absolutely not. He's worth maybe a half ounce of silver. Now, will he still get bought? Maybe. Will all the eBay cards get bought? The Gretzky's, the Bobby Orrs, the bigger stars, I think you'll buy them with gold or silver, depending on the card. But I don't think most of the guys will have a value. Maybe a tenth of an ounce of silver is it. But your superstars will have a little bit of gold. The Jordan rookie, 500 grand. Yeah, okay, a couple ounces of gold for that. But I think I'd rather spend my gold on a house than the Jordan rookie card. So this will be interesting. All right, so that's the gold price right now. We know it's the derivatives, and we're finding it back. There was a little bit at 10 and a little bit at 11:30, and then it quickly went back up in 24.14. Now the question is, can we hold it? So we've seen 24.40 before, and then the derivatives came and knocked it back down all the way to 23, but they didn't go under 23. But now it's a new game. We're cleaning out the gold so they can do their put options, and they can't have much gold left because there ain't much gold left out. It's all at the central banks in China and Russia and Saudi Arabia. All these countries own the big 400-ounce bars. There's not a lot of gold left, so therefore Uh, it's going to be, do they have enough to sell? And then how much more do they got? Because soon you won't have these. This will be what it looks like. There'll be a little drop as they try to lower the price to get to their option point. And eventually you'd think these guys would wake up and say, you know what, I probably shouldn't be shorting gold since it's the most heavily demanded product there is in the world right now, followed closely by silver. See, people don't understand. Gold would have been a better uh, metal than silver for these products, right? The solar panel, the car battery, all this shit would use gold, but it's too expensive. So they use silver because it's really the best mineral or metal to use for the solar panels is silver. That's what you want to use. And that's the point. But gold, because gold got so expensive. So yeah, they're fighting to keep the price down, but only the silver miners are this stupid to sell silver at $31. They get what they deserve. I heard Egon like say, "Well, they're real smart." Mark McGuire, they're real smart. Yeah, sure they are. That's why they're selling their silver at $31 an ounce. Don't tell me they're smart. They're idiots. Huge demand. I'm raising my prices. You don't like it? Go fuck yourself. Go buy it from somebody else. So anyway, that's gold and silver fundamentally on our comex. And you can see comex is the gold starting to not get as much competition. So will we see it under 30, under 23, under 2,400? So confused. So it's hit the 2,300. Now it's hit the 2,400. Will we see it go down back into the 23s? I'm not sure we will. I think from here it goes to 25. Now we might still get a little bit of push back down to, tomorrow morning it's 23.80 or something. But a couple more runs like this and it'll be 2,500, and then you'll never see 2,300 again. And I think since we just had the quarter where they had to settle all the options, so if the options don't make it and they fall out, you got to pay that. So this is what the banks are all going broke because for some reason they're doing these derivatives like a bunch of idiots. Who would say gold's going down? Who in their right mind? So I don't buy it. All right. So we'll talk more about that after. Let me get to the baseball since we had a few early games. Well, first, let's see how we did yesterday. Fabulous day. Start off with Baltimore under 8. It's a W. Then the Yankees over 8. And where did their hitting go? It lost. Then Philly under 9.5, which was a ballsy play against the Dodgers, wins. But we had good pitching. That's why. We got the Mets, it wins. We have KC that wins. We have Houston, it wins. Texas loses. Atlanta over 9 wins, and the 49ers over 9 wins. So I think we go 6-2. Considering I didn't have a good play because they're all 3 units, I'll take it. All right, today, lucky day, 7-11. And let's see what's going on. So we've got Pitt 1, Milwaukee nothing in the top of the 8th. Trying to just put up 3 on the 49ers, 3-0 in San Francisco in the first inning. All right, so those games are off the board. And then we've had the Tigers win 10-1. Spencer Howard pitched for Cleveland, 0-1 with a 12 ERA. Now, would you have bet Cleveland? So that would be a nice 5-unit lock. Take Detroit. Sure, it's easy after the game's over, but you know the way I look. So I got a 3.13 ERA pitcher going against the 12 ERA pitcher. Who the hell am I taking, right? And, maybe you go over with it. But so Detroit, I actually would have bet Detroit. Cincinnati, 8, Colorado 1. Hunter Green, 6-4 with the 3.34 against Austin Comer. 2-6 with the 4.61. I never would have bet Cincinnati. Maybe I would have bet over. 2 weak pitchers, maybe. The Jets, Jets beat Washington 7-0. David Peterson, 4-0 with the 3.09, gets the win. Mackenzie Gore, 6-8 with the 4.01, gets the loss and gives up the run. So 7-0, they don't go over. Uh, but the Mets win. That would have been a hard one because Peterson's 4-0 with a 309 and Gore 6-8 with a 401. It's not a lot of discrepancy there. All right, so that's what you got. 3 in the hopper. The Steelers are in the 8th inning against the Packers, and then the Toronto Argonauts against the 49ers, 3-0 in the first. All right, so let's go to what we have. 6:05. It's 4:0. We got 2 hours now. The Dodgers against the Phillies. Big game. We had the Philly under 9.5. It wins. I think they won like 6-1 or something. We got Anthony Banda, 1-1 with a 2.05 for the Dodgers. Aaron Nola, 10-4 with a 3.48 ERA. We got to go under here. So let's go Philly just like yesterday. Phil under 9.5. Seems like a big number. We can go 3 units. I'll have to check Bryce Harper status. The Cubbies in Baltimore. This is my lock of the day. The Cubbies, Justin Steele, 1-3 with a 2.95 against Albert Suarez, 5-2 with a 2.48. Over under 8.5. Baltimore under 8.5, and this will be 5 units. And we bet Baltimore under 8 yesterday, and it won. And we're coming right back. We get 8.5, and we got 2 pitchers under 3 ERA, and they just went under. So, gotta love it. The Yanks in Tampa. What happened to the Yanks? Yanks over 8 with Tampa, and it was like 3-2 or something. So that's the problem with the Yanks. You think, Aaron Judge and Soho and all these guys, they're going to score 10 runs a game. And then they play a 3-1 game, and you're like, huh? How did that happen? We got Nestor Cortez, 4-7 with a 3.41 ERA against Shane Baz, 0-1 with a 4.50 ERA. Over under is 8. I like the game over, but I don't know if they can get there. I mean, Tampa, it's 235. Yeah, well, no, I'm not going to make that. See, I won't make that mistake again, and this time it'll go over 8. So don't know what to do. Let's write it down. We won't bet it yet. Let's think about it. Oakland and Boston. We had Boston not in a bet, and it lost. The ones I didn't put in bets, Boston, Cleveland, and Cincinnati all lost. Milwaukee did win. So I had 4 non-bets yesterday, and I went 1-3, which is why I didn't bet them, because I didn't like them. Here we have Boston's a huge favorite, 225, 9.5. We got Luis Medina, 2-3 with the 4.37 against Tanner Hawk, 7-6, 2.68. They are at home. Boston's 50-41. Oakland's 35-59. But it doesn't mean anything. I mean, the records don't mean anything. It's the pitching. So we're going to go Boston here for 3 units. I'm not going to play over under. I'm just going to play Boston at home. Oakland on the road, tired, and that's what we have. So I think Tanner Hawk, low ERA. See, if I did that yesterday, it really hurts my ribs over here, the yawning or the sneezing, but now it's a tiny bit of pain. So I'm trying to eat really careful today and clean it out, and I'll probably fast maybe tomorrow or Saturday, which is ironic. I just did a 47-hour fast Saturday and Sunday last week, so I'm not motivated to do another one. That's why I'm shocked, but I ate the fucking roast on Sunday night. Had I known what I known, I would have not eaten the roast. I would have eaten the roast Friday and then Saturday, Sunday fasted it away. But I missed some of the fat that's on the side. You know how you get a roast. And like an idiot, I didn't cut it away. And I'm wondering, then I had more roast the next day, and I'm wondering, why am I in such pain? Yeah, because you got fat, sitting in your digestive system that won't go down easy. So I was very happy this morning. I was able to clean house. So Tanner Hawk, Boston 3. All right. Miami and Houston. Miami 32-60. Oakland's 35-50 now. Oakland's way better than Miami. Miami sucks. Houston's playing really good. We got Roddery Munoz, 1-3 with the 5.48 for Miami against Jake Bloss, 0-0 with the 4.91. I mean, this is an automatic over here. Houston over 8.5. I'm going to go 5 units. I mean, anytime you got Altuve, Bregman, and everybody hitting the ball, I mean, they could go off for 9 runs against the 5.48 pitcher. And then look at the bullpen. I mean, the bullpen for Miami is a 4.03. So they're going to give you another 5 runs. And Houston's is a 3.81. And Houston's, I think, the best hitting team at 2.65. Maybe Philadelphia is better. It's funny how the best hitting teams are the best teams. I noticed Detroit's lineup. They had 3 guys in the 180s, and they still won because they played. See, here's where the commentator misses out. Oh, look how good they hit today. They paid a guy with a 12 ERA, but he doesn't mention that. He's trying to be Joe Homer. Oh, look how good they're playing now. Oh, yeah, this guy. Now he's starting to hit. Yeah, against the 12-year-old, against the 12 ERA pitcher, they're all looking good. Of course. Now let's see him against the ace, right? All right. So we like Houston, but we like it over because our pitcher, Jake Bloss, is 0-0 with the 4.91. We can't trust him to win. Even though I think Houston wins, I'm sure it'll be high scoring, and that's all I care about. Because even the Houston pitcher, Miami will get a few runs on him. All right, Seattle and California. Seattle minus 165.8. California 38-54. They're fighting Miami and who's that? And Oakland for the worst team in the league. Seattle 51-43. Even though they can't hit, they got 3 or 4 guys can't hit 200. It's amazing. What's amazing is then I won't see like the 4th hitter has like a 300 average, and then the guy after him's got like a 100. But you won't see them walk the 4 hitter. What the fuck's wrong with these guys? You walk them to get to the 150 hitter. But I don't see that they're doing it. It's just incredibly stupid baseball that I'm watching. Luis Castillo, 7-9, 3.72 for Seattle. Jack Kakanakowicz, 0-0 with the 0-0-0. So I think Seattle wins. Seattle's a 165, 8.5. I don't know what you do with over-under here. Seattle, 3.74 bullpen, and they can't hit. They hit 217. California with a 4.70. So the bullpens are definitely going to give up runs. You don't know what this Jack Kakowicz is going to do for California with 0-0. With the 0-0-0. But Seattle can't hit, so it makes it really difficult. Most of these Seattle, LA, most of the Angel games, I just leave alone. They can't hit, and yet they win 51 games, so I don't know. All right, in our last game, Atlanta at Arizona, we won the Chris Sale game. We won it yesterday. We had Atlanta over 9, and they scored a lot of runs. And today we got Max Fried for Atlanta, 7-4 with the 3.18 against Brandon Pfaadt, 3-6 with the 4.9. We're going to go Atlanta. Go Atlanta. Beat Navy. We'll go 3 units. So we have Philly under 9.5, 3 units. Baltimore under 8.5, 5 units. Or is that 3 units? I think it's 3 units. No, it's 5. It's got to be 5. Boston, 3 units. Houston over 8.5, 5 units. Atlanta, 3 units. And let's check on the Steeler-Packer game. Bottom of the 8th, Steelers 1, Packers nothing. Toronto 3, 49ers 2. They went way over yesterday. And then we got the couple of games at night, and then we've got Detroit winning 10-1, Cincinnati 8-1, the Mets 7-0. The Mets have been playing they've been hitting pretty good lately. All right, so that is baseball picks for today. Again, yesterday I was what was I 6-3, 5, 7, 9. I was 7-2. Mighty rough. All right, so yesterday I don't think we'll do football today unless there's anything that popped in. More looking at the gold price going over 24.15 again. Happy times. But you don't sell it now. You're just sitting there watching it go up. This is why you buy. You have to buy as we've been buying, and now you just sit back and smile because you can't. I mean, at this point, what are you going to do? So that's the problem is what can you do? You like I was telling my buddy today, I said, I bought 8 ounces of gold for $10,000 a couple years ago. And then it went to 2,000. So you could buy 5 ounces. Now you can buy 4 ounces at 20 because it's going to cost you 2,500 with it at 2,400. So that's 10 grand. That's 4 ounces now for 10 grand. Pretty soon it's going to be 3 ounces because it'll go to 3 grand. Then it's going to go to 2 ounces for your 10 grand. And then you get one. And then what are you going to do when it goes to 20 grand? You're not going to be able to buy it. See, so you're taking advantage of buying it at these low prices. But you don't think they're low because this is the all-time high. And that's where we differentiate paper from physical. In the paper world, this is high, but not in the physical world. You haven't printed the gold, so there's no more supply than there has always been. But the paper supply has been these derivatives. So you're making another 1,000,000 ounces of gold that doesn't actually exist. So now it's going to be more like eBay. Oh, I have an ounce of gold. Okay, I'll buy it from you. It's going to be right here. It's not going to be, well, let's do an option and lower the price so we can buy it at this lower price. And there's too many buyers. There's too many people realizing the dollar's going out. I better get out of it. And I got one on Canada here I'm going to play. We saw Japan the other day where they had 10,000, 5,000, and a $1,000 bill. They're gone. That's the last act. When you do that, it's Katie bar the door. It's all over because you shouldn't have to print a $10,000 bill. Only the Japanese can print a $10,000 bill. It's hysterical. They're the biggest idiots. Although we're going to put Canada right up there with them. And then the U.S., the Joe Biden idiots. Yeah, we need to print because, you could just keep printing and nothing will happen. The MMT boys, just keep printing. It's okay. Nothing can happen. It's not going to have a value, you idiots. As what's happened in the Roman Empire, the French, the English, and then yada, 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 all the way through. That's why they went out. They inflated their money and made it worthless. And when they inflate too much, nobody wants it because there's too much of it. And that's it. So BRICS countries don't want, Saudi Arabia doesn't want the US dollar. That's why they said, forget the petrodollar. We don't want it. Russia will protect us. Only we really don't need protection anymore because there's nobody to really, it's not 1971. They're not going after our oil anymore. We're doing business with China and Russia. They're not going to let anything happen to it. So we're fine. So that's what you have since there's since they're fucking around with paper gold and pricing it out at 24. We're all excited, 24.15 paper, which means there's 100,000 more ounces than the reality, or more than that, than reality, right? There's probably another, let's call it another 20,000 tons in the paper market than in reality. And so it's good for keeping the price down for China. But how about the U.S.? Don't we do anything for ourselves? And so therefore price is much, much higher in the physical market. So I made a comment that I got a plus on. Um, the cowboy guy and Andy Weissman were talking on a video, and I made a comment. These guys are clueless. They don't understand that the difference between paper and physical, because they keep looking at charts of paper charts. And as I said, and I keep teaching about variables, it's apples and oranges. What happened in 2000, 2008, whatever date you want, is paper. It's price fixed. You got to ignore that. You've got to look at what the physical price is doing. And that's why I always bring you back to Brady in New England. You can use the trend 5 years ago with Brady still. Oh, let's look at Mahomes. So Mahomes, you can use his trends now. Him and Andy Reid have been there about 5 years, 6 years. Fine. If he's a bad home favorite, if he's a good road dog, fine. We got that. But if he gets traded to Oakland now, then Oakland goes and wins the next 4 or 5 Super Bowls with their defense. And then you throw out all the Kansas City trends because the trends are with Mahomes. He's gone. So you can't use his trends. And you can't use the Oakland trends because it was without Mahomes. So you got to wait about at least a year till the end of this year to now put Mahomes and use him as in Oakland. Not that he's traded. I'm just saying as a point. That's why I say the Brady thing. So when he leaves New England for Tampa, you can't use the New England trends anymore because they're Brady trends. It's when there's a meaningful quarterback. Peyton Manning going from Indy to Denver, John Elway leaving Denver. The next guy is a bum. So then you stop using the trends. And that's what's tricky about trends. But right now it's good for Kansas City and it's good for Cincinnati and it's good for Baltimore. And but with all the change in the league between new coaches and new quarterbacks, you really can't use trends very much anymore. So we redesigned it and redeveloped and came out with our new plan, which is quarterback and defense. And so now we have that, and it's more successful than the trends. The trends were a way of trying to figure out what was going to happen, and the defense is a very accurate way of telling you what will happen points-wise. You're facing a strong defense. You're not scoring. No, fuck KC, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati's got a good one, Frisco. You're not scoring. That's why the teams like Detroit and maybe Green Bay and Philadelphia have a harder time because they don't have that defense. Well, Philadelphia did have that defense and they got rid of it. But let's just look at Detroit and Green Bay, these over teams, right? They don't have defense. They can't win. You can't win without defense. It's the bottom line. And you can see Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl. Best quarterback, no defense. John Elway had a hard time winning until he got Terrell Davis and he could balance with passing and running. Dan Fouts never won one. Any of the San Diego teams, John Hadel's teams before that, never won. KC in the old 60s, they won because they had the defense, and them and the Raiders had the defense. Green Bay had the great defense. The Steelers, 70s, best defense. Miami Hurricanes, great defense. So you just go down the list. Georgia keeps winning titles because they have a great defense. Well, it's not a coincidence. Oh, by the way, and if you look at Brady, he should have been in about 10 more Super Bowls because he was there 20 years. And the years he didn't go, they didn't have a good defense. The years that he won, they had like the 1 or 2 defense. So that's the thing. So you got to get away from it. But see how everything comes back to economics, right? So that was an economic lesson, even though it was football. That was my example. So in economics, it's supply and demand, but you can't use trends to say, look what happened in 2008 with the crisis. It's going to happen now. You can't. No, it's totally different. You've got bricks. You've got the dollar at 0. You've got banks going under, are still going to go under, and nobody can save them because we can't just print another, $10 trillion to save the banks, because then the money will be, might as well paint the $500 bills orange like in Monopoly. That's the problem with it. So heavy inflation kills the value of the dollar, as I showed you with the Germans and what the British did to the French in 1795. Oh, we're going to print, here's Hitler. We're going to print all these. We're going to make all these counterfeit British pounds and dump them on England, and we'll win the war because of the doubt the money will be worthless, and you can't fight a war without money. That was Hitler's strategy. So Hitler can figure it out, or the Nazis, but nobody else can. Okay, our guys are too stupid in America to figure that one out, but Hitler could figure it out. Wow. So anyway, once you get rid of the comex paper gold price, that is what makes it, what do they call it? Variable, like a roller coaster, Egon calls it. What's the word I'm thinking? Volatile. I knew it was something with a V. So they call it volatile. No, the volatility is the derivatives. It's comex. It's not gold and silver. Gold and silver is not coming down. When silver goes and they finally get rid of the comex and it's at 500 an ounce, how is it going to go down? How is it being priced? What's being priced? Physical price of supply and demand. So people demanding it, wanting it, paying the price. How's it going to go down? Who's stupid enough to sell it at 500 an ounce? It's not a stock. These people look, it's not a stock. If gold goes up to 2,700 tomorrow, I'm not profit taking and selling it, because then I'm back. I'm going to get this shit again. And then how do I get my gold back? It's more important to physically own the gold than worry about the price, right? Because this is gone, and that'll leave you with nothing. And the only out you have is gold and silver, because you can't use this. That's the whole point of it. So there's no profit taking to be done, because you don't want to, if you sell, you get back to this. Well, wait, we just got off the Titanic. We don't want to go back on it. It might sink when we're back on it. We got off of it, so we wouldn't go to the bottom of the Atlantic. That's the point of not selling your gold and silver because of profit taking, because then you're back on the boat. You don't know how much longer you got. So you're getting off the boat. Inflation's killing Japan. It's killing China. It's killing Russia. It's killing every country, because that's what it does. It kills. It devalues the dollar. And then I was watching something on Europe, and they're all crying. Prices are going up. Then I'm watching this thing on Canada, which I'm going to show you. What the fuck is happening to Canada? It's called inflation. And the prices are going up and people can't afford it. Well, that's called inflation. You can thank George Soros for that. And they put these puppets in, like this Marcon guy or Trudeau or Biden, who's basically dead. And these guys are in charge, are just puppets for George Soros. And he wants the world. He's like the Joker. I want the world to burn because I was a Nazi and I lost, and I want to get my revenge. He doesn't care. He's 90 years old. He doesn't care. This is his way of killing the West, who beat the Nazis. Although he's not going to beat Russia, because Russia's saying, no, we want to get on gold and we don't trust you, Soros. And so the Russians don't have him, and China doesn't have him, but he's in Europe, and he's bad news. So that's what the inflation does. It makes your dollars worthless. And it happened in Rome, and it doesn't happen tomorrow. They did it in Rome, I don't know, 100 or 200 AD, and they lasted till 500 AD. So it took a few hundred, but there was the Ottoman Empire, which was Roman, went back on gold. That's how it survived the extra few hundred years. But that's the whole point. You must have gold to keep a stable country and government and hold your life. The best time, as I say, from 1879? 1879 to 1914, the worldwide growth was 4.9%, and everybody was on the gold standard. So I'm tired of hearing Alligator go, well, no, you don't, you need inflation to grow your economy. Sorry, Alligator, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Okay, that's what you just need the gold standard, and you'll be the most productive you've ever been in your life. It's the most productive time in the history of man. We're on the gold standard because productivity comes in. They built everything, the boats, the railroads. They laid all the track. They made the cars. They made everything was started on the gold standard, um, and that productivity lowered prices and better standard of living. Okay, so Japan's the next one out with their incredibly stupid dollars. Um, Now, what's going on in Canada? So I'm going to play a little of this video. Basically, Canada's got a major housing problem. So our friend who bought his house, I don't get it from a supply demand thing. So what's happening is the rich are buying houses instead of gold, and the rich, but they're putting these big prices on renting them out, which people can't afford. So I don't understand. I would assume the rich are going to go broke also because you don't spend money on a house and not rent it out. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You still got to pay property taxes. You had to pay something for the house, and you're not getting any value out of it. So what they're doing is keeping it over market, and then nobody can afford it. So people are living on the streets, and they got socialism anyway. So they got high taxes, and the poor, the free medical. Then you got all these immigrants coming in, and what do they do with them? You can't just. So let's say we just move to Switzerland tomorrow. Well, what are we going to do for money? What are we going to do? Where are we going to live? How are we going to work? You got to have all that. You can't just move somewhere and not work and then not have money for it. So we'll be okay. We got gold and silver. We can cash an ounce in for a house, and we're fine. But we understand all this. Most people are trying to get out of poverty in Iraq, and they moved to, or a lot of red Chinese moved to Canada. I remember that when I was there years ago, and the housing started to go up. And I said, why? And it's all the red Chinese were moving there, and the demand was high. And I don't know who was buying it, if the red Chinese government was buying the houses, but the prices were like a $200,000 house turned into $1 million house because all these Chinese moved in and they kept buying them. So somebody was buying a shitload of houses. So some billionaire from China probably. But if you move in, you've got how am I going to move? So let's say we're going to move to France. Well, we wouldn't want to move to France now. Let's say we're moving to Germany. How would we afford it? Where are we going to work? We don't even know the fucking language. So we got to speak German. We probably got to do little Heils and goose steps there. And then I didn't see anybody goose stepping when I was there. What are we going to do for to live? How am I going to work? I don't know the language. So am I just going to run to Germany and think I'm going to live there without knowing the language? So I'm not going to live well there. That's for sure. Now I know my Jenna's friend Natasha moved there, and they let her live for free as a refugee of the war. Now her choice was, I'm either living in a war or I'm going to move out. So it didn't really matter to her. She was better off in Berlin than she was in Ukraine, of course. So and that's what you got a lot of it. These people living in a war-torn Iraq and Iran and Libya and all these countries where it's all military taking over. And, so the choice isn't really like what I just said for them. I get these people to just say hello. I'm like, who the fuck are you, and why did you text me? Um, so that's part of it. But then that's us logically. But the people caught in a war, like you have all these military coups in Africa and the Middle East, they just are getting out of there. So for them, they might as well. There's no bombs being dropped in Canada, so they take it, and then they realize, well, I can't live here either because there's no. Where am I going to live? I don't have any money. I don't have a job. They probably aren't educated. So what are they going to do? Work at the grocery store? I got 5 kids to feed, so that's what's happening. And then so what? Canada's got to pay for these people. Why are you letting people in your country? Well, they're refugees because they're in the middle of a war. Well, that's not our problem. That's the problem they have in their own country. Okay, I understand you want to get out of a war, but you better get your skill set up before you leave, or figure out a way how you're going to live. Maybe you live with your aunt and your uncle who happen to live in Canada. Oh, okay, that's fine, but you can't just show up and then like, well, okay, I'm here. Yeah, great. We give them 5,000 a month or something like that for all these refugees we're housing, which is a joke. Um, it's too expensive. I mean, because where are you getting the money to give them? Oh, you're taking them from my tax dollars. Oh, you're going to tax me more. I love that plan. Let's tax more. You're not going to get more tax revenue. You're going to get less. It's not a zero sum game. It's not if my tax goes from 10% to 15, you're going to get more money out of me. Doesn't work like that. Anyway, so let's look at Canada and then we can prepare what's going to happen here. Okay, this is socialist heading on communist Canada.
All seniors on Medicare. What if you could qualify today for a $275 flex?
With lots of dreams, with lots of hope.
We don't care.
It's time for a change in this country, my friends. A real change. I had been saying.
Beware of that. When they say it's time for a change, which all politicians say, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a good change. Is it a good change or a bad change? You're just changing it. I'm here. It's a change. Oh, so you're going to fuck it up now?
Housing costs had doubled under Justin Trudeau. It's now far worse than that.
How the hell is anyone existing in Canada? I feel trapped. I can't buy anything. I can't afford the rent these days.
It's getting to the point where you can choose to keep a roof over your head, or you can choose to keep the lights on and eat, but you can't do both.
We're worse off than the people in the worst off state in the U.S. It's a race to the bottom.
A lot of Canadians, I think more than 60% would say that they're angry at the economy. Why do you guys think that's the case?
Wow, because of the government. I mean, it would be nice for a change, but maybe Trustee Trudeau can do it for us.
I would say number one is corruption. Landlords throughout Toronto are overcharging, and there's a mass.
Okay, so let's talk about that. First of all, if it's a free market, the landlords can charge whatever they want, provided if they're filling their houses at 2,000 or 2,500 a month, and they're getting people moved, then they're not overcharging. If they're empty, which is what they say, then there is a problem. Now, the problem is not the government, it's the finance and it's the inflation. The whole base problem here is inflation. They've inflated their dollars, they're worthless. So now they charge $2,500 for rent. They can't afford it because all the other costs have gone up because of the inflation. As the dollar is worth less, so you print, that's hitting the iceberg, causes the value of the dollar to go down, devalued. So the dollar has no value, which makes the prices go up because it takes more dollars to buy it. So the root cause is the inflation. You printed them out of their minds, but they don't own gold. So Canada is totally fucked because whatever new Canadian dollar they come out with is going to be the same monopoly money they're using now. Because the only way out of the monopoly mess is gold and silver. Why don't they own any? Because George Soros don't want them to. He wants, so Canada's gone. Yeah, there's some rich guys, but as I point to this going to zero and this going to zero, what do you think? So's the Canadian dollar. So this goes to zero, the euro goes to zero, the Canadian dollar goes to zero. They're all going to zero. It's all going to be the same. So I'm just kind of pointing out that's what we're headed for. But the only way out for these people is if they had gold and silver. That's the only way out for them. That's why I jump on that guy. He had 400,000. He buys a house, and the housing market's terrible. And he could have bought gold, and he'd be king. $400,000 of gold in Canada. Oh my God. I mean, this guy would never have to worry about anything. But now he's got a house instead. And it's Canadian dollars. It's inflated. It's worthless. It's going to go to zero like ours is going to zero. The only thing that you can survive with is gold and silver. That's it. Forget the house is not going to give you a value. So these rich people are not buying gold. They're buying houses, but they're not running them out. They have to be out of their fucking minds. So that doesn't make sense.
Housing crisis, a resource-based economy that's failing because the oil sands are gone and we can't use them anymore. I would imagine that our economy is not geared up very well for that.
I think like the cost of living goes up, but the salaries don't go up. Rent goes up, groceries go up. Like things cost so much relative to other countries, but like
that's inflation, and it's not relative to other countries. It's their dollar. So look what happens. Costs go up, prices go up, money's worthless. But my salary didn't go up. Of course, your salary is not going up because your employer can't afford you anymore because nobody's buying their products because nobody has money. They're all paying more for mortgage and rent and heat and electricity and butter and eggs that you're paying so much more for that you can't like the other guy. Well, you can either pay my mortgage or I can pay my food and electricity. So the food's gone up, the electricity's gone up. Fortunately, his mortgage didn't go up. But if you had gold and silver, the gold and silver would be going up. See, it keeps pace to the inflation, the gold and silver. Only it's going to far outpace the inflation. We never look at what the percentage of gold going up. We don't care. We just, oh, good, it's at 2,400. Let me know when it's at 3,000. Let me know when I'm meeting Luke at the Capitol Grill. Let me know when I'm meeting Bobby if he's still alive. That's the point. The gold and silver keeps up. It goes up too. So imagine buying, Jif peanut butter, right? And the costs go up. Well, that's okay. I got Jif peanut butter, so I'm fine. That's why you're supposed to buy food now, because when the prices go up, you'll have the food. So they're suffering through hyperinflation, as is Japan. They're both bye-bye, and they both can't be saved. The only way Canada can be saved with gold, but they don't have it, and Japan, but they don't have it. Maybe they have a little. Without gold, you can't be saved. Therefore, what the fuck are you doing? But they don't understand it. Oh, the price is going up, and my wages aren't. Why would your wages go up? Your wages are never going up in this situation because I got to raise my cost, but the consumer can't pay it, so I'm losing money. That's why the stock market crashes. All the stocks go down because nobody's buying, and the stock market's based on future sales, future revenues, future income. Well, if sales are down and I can't get the price I need and my costs are up, what happens to the fucking stock? All right.
it also costs so much to live here without having like a higher income. So like if you compare it to the US, you'll have a higher salary even if it's a similar cost of living. So it balances out. But here it's like just paying so much and not getting a lot back. There's some government support, but it's not really enough to like offset the really high costs, I think.
A lot of communication as well is kind of weird because the explanations I think government gives sometimes doesn't really correlate with what's happening and what we're seeing on day to day.
The barrier to enter the housing market is so high right now. It's
kind of affecting everyone's affordability crisis, making us more worried about mortgage payments. It's definitely not affordable for us students. And even from a perspective, like as a graduate, you would have to have two jobs to even meet all your bills and pay your house or your rent eventually.
I think it is not only in Canada.
Or if you had gold, you wouldn't be worried about it. That's the beauty of gold. Gold keeps up. Owning gold, you don't have to worry about this. Who was it? Don't know. So that's what gold is. Gold's the only thing that protects you from the dollar losing its value. All the costs are going up. No, they're not. It's the dollar losing value, and everything's priced in dollars. So in Canada, everything's priced in Canadian dollars. They're inflating the shit out of them. So of course they're worthless, and then they lose purchasing power, and then it takes more Canadian dollars to buy a glass of milk. Hence why the price goes up. It's because they need more dollars to buy it because the dollars aren't worth anything. That's the bottom line. So that's what you must understand. And that's why we buy gold and silver. It keeps up with it. As Egon says, it's wealth preservation. Well, kind of. It won't go down because you can't print it. So you can't print gold like you print the dollar. So this whole mess is because all these governments are printing the shit out of the dollar. That's the reason. They're all MMT. They're all Keynesians. Whoa, you can just keep printing the dollar and there's no problem. You know, go ask Canada, go ask Japan, and go ask America, and go ask Europe. Oh, really? Italy, France, they're all going under. Oh, because you mean you just kept printing money and it didn't have a problem? Or did it have a problem? So now you're seeing what's coming.
I think it is not only in Canada. It's most of the places around the world and other states or countries are experiencing it. But here in Toronto, the cost of living is really high. I don't have the factual statistics, but maybe to say the least, if you are to go to two different supermarkets and then compare their prices, you'll get to know that, okay, there's something wrong here. Because if you buy, for example, chicken, a whole chicken will cost you around 7 point something dollars. Then the following day, if you go, the price change. It's a global crisis. But the question will be, how are we going to have some approaches towards making it better, towards making it affordable, towards making it actually accessible to the people who are least privileged to some of these things? Because at the end of the day, we look at the common people, those that fall below the 1%.
In my opinion, the economic state of the city is in shambles. The real estate market is insane. The people who are in power right now aren't in the right mindset to make what needs to be done happen. I was born and raised here. I think.
But they don't know what to do. You think Trudeau knows, he's got a degree in Austrian economics and knows what to do, that his problem is gold? No, because he's got idiot advisors, and they're saying, just keep printing, just keep printing, just keep printing, without understanding that it makes it, you're printing too much, purchasing power drops. So you can't buy anything with your dollar, which then creates costs to go up if they can. Now, what'll happen at the grocery store pretty soon, if the milk sits on the counter at $10 a gallon, they got to lower the price on it. But as long as it's hyperinflation and the people are hyper about, that's why it's hyperinflation, and the people are panicking, like we figured out the Titanic sinking, we got to get on the lifeboat. Once you get to that state, people will just pay anything for it. They won't care. And then once you got emotion and fear working, that's the hyperinflation. But when you got it with gold, we're waiting for it to come to gold. Oh my God, I need gold, I need gold, I need gold. Does any of these people say, I need gold? I wish I'd have bought gold and silver? Why not? That's their answer, but they're too stupid to understand it because they're not taught it.
This has potential, and we really shouldn't turn our backs on it like so many people are right now.
But why are so many Canadians turning their backs on their home country? The answer may be more complex and heartbreaking than you think. It's a story of dreams unfulfilled, of a promised land that for many, has failed to deliver. And it starts with a pressing issue, the housing crisis.
Canada is pretty much a 3-star hotel charging 5-star prices.
All the money I make goes towards rent and groceries, and I don't really have enough for anything else.
I'm in my mid-20s. I live with my parents, though.
In totality, if you look at the horizon of the future of Canada from 0 to 10, where would you fall?
Fall underground.
I've been receiving checks from Charles Schwab on a weekly basis. Let me show you. Here are a few of the checks.
Shut the fuck up.
The number of people living in emergency shelters in Toronto is about 9,000 a night, and that is twice what it was a decade ago. If you don't have housing, if you don't have a roof over your head, it's very difficult to tackle other issues like unemployment, food security, or abuse problems, drug abuse problems.
You get a curfew, you get crappy food, but you get food. Right? And you're being told what to do. Now here, you get individual living. People can live on their own. They can live amongst people who understand them.
Oh, there's tons of housing here. Buildings that are being used and stuff, and they're just sitting empty. So the city can't sit there and say that there's no housing.
Most people cannot afford to buy a house in Toronto. That means that there are a lot more people who need to rent, and it is the rental segment of the market where you really see the strains on the system appearing.
There's definitely something wrong.
So now my intuition says, why, if they're renting it, are they occupied? So the girl said there's tons of houses, but nobody's living in them. That's also doesn't make sense. From a Austrian economy point, it would be, what's the market? And apparently people can't afford these. So if the price is up here and the market's down here, these guys got to lower their price. They can't leave it up here and leave it empty and not make money. That doesn't make sense unless they just bought the house like you buy gold and they're not really trying to rent it out. They just own the house. But the renters, you want the rent income. So how can it be so expensive? Maybe they are getting renters to come in and then all these people just can't afford it. But there are people that can afford the rent. Because otherwise, like I said, if I'm trying to rent something at $5,000 a month and nobody's buying it, I got to lower my price or it sits empty. And what good is it if it sits empty if I'm trying to rent it? So there's questions that don't make sense. What's going on? Why all these houses sitting empty, they're not lowering the price to get buyers in? And why on the renting side of it, are you then, I can see renting for hire provided the demand's there because they can't buy the house. So there's demand to rent. But again, you got to meet the market. The market's the market. I can't, what good is it to sit there and not, rent the house out? Well, I want $3,000 a month and nobody can pay it. Well, too bad. Well, yeah, but you're not getting your $3,000 in a month either. So what good is that? So again, I'm a little bit confused on that. That doesn't make sense, but I do get people can't afford to buy, so they're renting. I get that, but I don't get, you can't just raise the money. You can't raise the rent over the market. Is there people living in these apartments or house or whatever they're renting? Is there people living in the rentals? That's what I'm curious. But all the people who own the houses that are vacant, what the fuck are they doing? Yeah, I got a house sitting here for, I want to sell it for $2 million. There's no buyers. Oh, well, I'll just sit on it. That makes no sense either. How do you got to pay the bank, the mortgage every month. You just have all this extra money. You can not sell your house. You just have it, but you're not going to sell it. I have 10 houses. I'm not going to sell them, but I don't have anybody renting them. I don't have anybody living. I'm not getting any income in. Nothing makes sense there. It's not free market.
Like my mom, who made significantly less than I do, was able to afford a house in Pickering. I'm probably going to be shut out of the housing market completely and be a forever renter, which I'm fine with. But the reality is something has to change.
Do you feel like you'll ever be able to afford your own home?
I'm still positive right now, but it's still up in the air, obviously.
I don't think just a standard like normal life would be able to afford you a home here, at least not now. Maybe if you worked like 2 or 3 jobs, yeah. I've found myself like fantasizing about moving out of the country a lot to just like try and find a home somewhere else.
It is very practical. If you look around here, you would see how many people are homeless. But also, I think at the same time, the biggest players are trying to do their best to actually make sure that there are enough housing for the people. They are trying to actually come up with policies and other alternatives so that people can have access to housing. It is not a very easy thing in this economy, but they're trying.
Do you guys think that there's a housing crisis in Canada?
Yeah,
For sure.
We're building a lot, but people can't afford to buy them, or like they can buy them, but then they can't afford to maintain them, or they need to sell because they can't afford to keep them.
The price of rent is ridiculous. Like you used to be able to rent for like $1,000 for a nice place, big spacious apartment. Now you can't even afford that because it's like $2,700 a month.
You're basically paying someone else's mortgage, but you can't take out your own mortgage because like you can't afford it.
It's obviously accented by mass immigration, which I'm not against, but I don't think we were prepared for it. And I also think that these immigrants are being treated poorly, given educational opportunities that don't actually end up anything. It's just a way for universities to get money.
I'm a musician and I was in between jobs and paying for rent and having to find an apartment like a bachelor or even a room. It was close to $2,000 a month for my rent. And to come up with first and last for that was almost impossible. If it wasn't for my family, I don't know what I would have done. The housing problem needs to be fixed. I believe Doug Ford is working on it and Olivia Chow is working on it, but it needs.
How do you fix it? Okay, economist, how would you fix it? You really can't. It's free market. The guy can rent it out for whatever he wants. The other guy who they're building, but nobody can afford, then I think I would go talk to a builder who could make them cheaper. But what kind of regulations is the government putting on the builders, raising the cost of lumber? So the cost to make the house are up because of probably the inflation. So there really isn't an answer in an Austrian way, because it's sort of like, well, my costs, the Canadian Club. So my cost for this is $50. So I got to sell it for $75, but there's nobody to buy it. So let's say this is the house. So this costs you $50 a bottle. This is a $7.50, right? There's different sizes. This costs you $50. So I got to sell it, make a profit. So I got to sell it for $75. But there's no buyers at $75. So what do? Well, I pack up and go out of business because I can't make it for less than 50, means I can't sell it for less than 50. So what you're asking is, well, you make this for 50, but sell it for 35, because all these people on the street want your house, but they can't afford the $75. So I'm Canadian Club, and I go, well, how can I make a cheaper whiskey that I can sell for the 35 of what the market is? That's the problem that only Austrian economics can cure, is the costs are too high. I mean, if you're building it, you've got to charge to make profit, right? So it's probably the government regulations costing these houses to be made where they're so expensive they have to charge more. That's my guess of why they're so expensive. And then, but all the people can't afford it. So the market's here, but all the costs are here. Then the profit for the house. So the houses have to be here, but the market's down here. And so this guy's going to lose his ass because he can't sell any. These people can't buy it. Does this guy lower his price? He can't lower his cost because he can't lower his price because his price, if his price is here and the cost is here, he can't lower his price under cost where the market is. So we got a problem with the market based on the inflation that their money's worthless. Now we got the Roman Empire. This is why you go out, because you can't make it, you can't make the items cheap enough for the market. Then you have a problem. There's nothing you can't fix it. I mean, unless you made cheaper houses. So can I make a house or an apartment where I can charge $1,500 a month for rent? Can I make them where my profit, I still make profit at $1,500? That's the real question. But with all probably these regulations that you've thrown in, probably not. Therefore, these people need to move. They need to move to Russia or somewhere. They need to get the fuck out, because there's nothing that can be done unless you kill the regulations and allow the houses to be built cheaper, so the guy building the house can still make a profit on them. So the guy building it has to make a profit. And that's simply Adam Smith. It cost me 20. Can I sell the scone? I got demand for the scone. It cost me 10 cents. I can sell it for 25. And there's a market at 25. And this is basic Austrian economics. So if my cost, I got to make money, is over where the market is, I shouldn't make it. So what do you do with all the people who can't afford the house? They're fucked, because they're not educated. They're not highly skilled. They're not educated. This causes crime. This guy I want. He's got a Mercedes. I want it. He's got a nice house. I'm going to go break into it and steal from him. This is where the whole, there's riots in France today. This is where the whole problems arise, is you've killed the market economy with the inflation. The cost is greater than what people can afford, and the market's skewed up. And you've got to get the regulations out and somehow let the guys build these apartments and houses cheap enough that the people can afford them. But there's no, so that's the only solution, is you got to get the regulate. You got to figure out why it costs so much, and then get back to it. And then it's mostly the inflation, and then you're fucked, because you can't beat the inflation without gold. You can come out with a new Canadian dollar. If it ain't backed by gold, you haven't done anything.
Be fixed promptly. It keeps going up and up, and most Canadians can't afford it.
There's a lot of other factors that affect this crisis. Right now, we have a huge population that has not been able to catch up with their housing structure. So that needs to be fixed.
No.
And obviously, the government spending on policies that's not really important right now.
What would you say are like policies are not important that the government is investing in?
Policies like cutting down on healthcare, cutting down on special needs education. Those are not the problems you should be going after. You should be looking at restricting immigration and attracting people that are qualified, people that are able to build the economy, rather than just giving them a space to live, because they're all just going to be footing the bills for them.
See, but that's not the answer. There won't be jobs because, again, nobody can afford to buy the products. Businesses will close. It doesn't matter if they're all engineers and try to go work at Microsoft. It ain't going to happen. They're not going to be able to make enough to buy these, and then the dollar's worthless, going down. Wait till the Canadian dollar goes out. What are they going to do? Canadian dollar number 2, not backed by gold. You think that's going to be worth anything? That won't last. There are going to be riots in Canada, because you're going to have to, because this is an impossibility to try to do this. I mean, it's just not going to work. It can't work. I mean, that's why you let Austrian economics teach you, because it's free market, and you can't, once it's gone, you can't get it back. You need gold for that.
Plus economic terms ever. Canada's housing crisis is a twofold problem. A shortage in housing supply, coupled with an exponential increase in demand for housing. And that's the elephant in the room that many choose to focus on: immigration.
Every day, thousands of people set out on a treacherous journey to flee their homeland. It's the largest displacement of people the world has seen since World War II. These migrants would rather risk their lives on the road than live in a country laid waste by poverty.
After this video, your life is never going to be the same. So I need you to stop whatever.
Laid waste by poverty,
Get off my channel.
violence, armed conflict, and natural disasters. Today, countries are increasingly tightening their borders. Yet migrants will stop at nothing.
Ce sont vos dirigeants qui encouragent nos présidents à nous faire souffrir. C'est comme ça qu'on s'est dit non, on va chez vous alors cette fois-ci.
They step off the plane as refugees, but they walk out of this terminal as permanent residents of Canada.
The goal, bring in 1.45 million immigrants by 2025.
If there isn't a plan for where to house them, then why bring them into the country, especially Ontario? Everywhere I go, quality of life is not there anymore. I came here when I was a teenager, and I'm contemplating, should I stay in the country or should I leave? I don't see a future at the moment.
Canada is supposed to get about 500,000 new immigrants per year for the next 3 years. Do you feel like this country is well equipped enough to be able to welcome all those people in?
Right now, at this moment now, they need to put some more thought about how are they going to support them once they're here. Because obviously Canada has been welcoming a lot of refugees, which I'm not against it. It's just that with them being in place, another 500,000 people from other countries, it's gonna put way more pressure than anyone has imagined or they can calculate.
I don't want to diminish immigration. I think it's important. This is a good country with lots of space, but we're not prepared for it. The money's not being invested, and the rich are just far too rich.
The people that are coming to the country for the first time, they need accommodation. They need a roof over their head. So they're in the market of looking for a place just like a lot of other permanent residents here. So it is a challenge that we're going to have to fix. But the truth is, the amount of immigrants that come here, they're all paying tax money on their jobs, and most of them are working. So I'm not really opposed to immigrants coming here and working and living here for the rest of their lives.
I definitely think maybe immigration.
Did the guy say the rich are too rich? Is that what the fuck is that? What do you mean the rich are too rich? You can't be too rich. You're as rich as you want to be. I mean, that's the whole point of it. That's what Austrian economics is. Use your skill and make money. I mean, I'm not going to apologize if gold goes to $100,000 an ounce. Am I too rich because I was smart enough to buy a bunch of gold at $2,000 an ounce? I'm not going to apologize because I was intelligent. That's ridiculous. You had the opportunity to. So I don't like that. Oh, the rich are too rich. Or the guy saying the immigrants have jobs. Well, they're working at the grocery store. And it's again, it's the inflation. That's the whole that everybody misses. They say the costs are too high. Well, that's the inflation. The dollar's worthless. So the rich are rich, but they don't know they're holding monopoly money either, also. So I don't care if you're in Canada, Japan, Germany, or the US. The money you're holding is worthless. And that's the bottom line, Stone Cold. It's worthless.
Just needs to slow down a little, and Canada needs to focus on their own residents first, and then once we're in a better shape, then maybe consider bringing in hundreds of thousands more.
No, I agree. I think we need to look after our own first, and then we can focus on bringing more people in. Because right now you see a lot of people that they can't afford groceries or gas or even a place to live. So it's kind of tough right now, I think.
Notice how they're all, it's like a magic trick. They're all over here going, yeah, the housing and the people coming in the country over here, but really over here is the inflation, and they've got it where nobody's talking about it. Nobody's rioting going, stop fucking printing money. Why aren't you backing it by gold? They're all, well, you got all these people coming in the country and the high prices, and they can't figure out it's the inflation. Stop printing the fucking money. giving it to your friends, and they all buy these houses that nobody else can afford, which is fine. We're the houses that people, I mean, the way an economy works is there's this Canadian Club 12-year at $75 a bottle. There's also a regular Canadian Club at $20 a bottle. So you're supposed to make, if there's a demand, the scone guy from Adam Smith. But what's happening is you have these people who can't afford a lot, so nobody wants to make houses that cheap because they can't. Now they should. In a free market, I'm a builder and I go, I can make a lot of money here. I just have to be able to sell it to these people or build an apartment complex and sell it where my rent's $1,500 a month. Can I do that? Now, maybe they can't, but that's what should happen in a free market. I'm gonna build a bunch of apartments for all these people, and I'll make them $1,500 rent where they can afford it. I'll do that. I'll make a killing, right? If it costs me $1,000, I'll rent them out for $1,500. But my guess is the problem is they can't make them for $1,000, so they can't rent them out at $1,500. They can only rent them out. They got to make profit on it. So it probably is too expensive for them to make the apartments affordable enough for the market. Like I tell the rib guy, don't go to 45 for the ribs. You'll be out of business. And he's been good. So far, he's keeping them at 27, 28 when I go there. And again, the problem is if he has to start selling them for 45, just pack up because you won't be able to. And then the question is, well, can somebody make ribs and sell them for $25, $30 a slab? And my guess is no. And then all these barbecue places and more restaurants will go out of business. They'll have to charge more, but sorry, I'm not, just like me getting a New York strip. No, you want to make it $20 a pound? See you later. I can buy this other steak at $10 a pound or what, I substitute. That's what you got to do. So if I'm in Canada and I can't make these apartments for $1,500, I can't make profit on them. All these people are fucked. Because there's nowhere, it's not the government, it's the free market. It's the builder who would make them and sell them for that. You got to know what your market is. You had all these people, 1,500. The problem is the inflation. So not only do they got to pay rent, as the first guy said, well, yeah, I can either pay rent or pay the utilities and the food. I can't pay both. That's the inflation. So they're basically fucked.
Since 2016, approximately 3 million new immigrants have been welcomed into Canada, representing a record 40% increase in immigration rates in the country. And to that were added 1 million more people who actually grabbed most of the attention.
International students.
International students.
International students.
International students.
International students.
There are nearly 900,000 international students studying in Canada right now.
Nobody gives a shit.
There's this growing sense from economists, academics, politicians, that it's too much, that it needs to be reined in.
Economists have been sounding the alarm, the warnings about these issues for many, many years.
Enough is enough. If provinces and territories cannot do this, we will do it for them.
And caught in the middle, those students themselves, who are, in a way, both saving this country.
They're actually among the most productive and highest earning and highest achieving.
And in need of saving themselves.
I'm always moments away from like a mental breakdown, just from the stress of wondering if I'm going to be homeless soon.
Know that in Ontario in particular, a lot of the public colleges are absolutely dependent on foreign students. Some of them, up to 90% of their tuition revenue comes from people from abroad. There are schools that are not providing quality education across this country. In fact, using the word school is not appropriate because a lot of these places are not schools. They're factories. They're immigration factories.
It's not the job of an 18-year-old living in Warsaw who wants to come to Canada, come to university to solve our housing crisis, right? It's the responsibility of government, and it's the responsibility of
not the responsibility
higher education
of government
sector to behave responsibly.
And
as I was
it's not. It's the free market that needs to help them, but the government, if you're regulating and you're fucking with the money and inflating it to zero, That's your problem. So the government can't do anything. Just get out of the way. That's why we want laissez-faire economics. Leave it alone. Get out of the way. Just let the markets work, and the market would work in Canada. Oh, I can make a bunch of apartments or whatever. I can make houses cheaper. Why do they all have to be $1 million? Our guy paid $700,000 for his house, out of his fucking mind. What you gonna do with it? Who's he gonna sell it to? Is he gonna rent it out? So this is the problem. Oh no, the housing prices will just keep going up and up and up. Yes, but the money won't be worth anything. That's the inflation. You're gonna get paid in inflated monopoly money instead of gold, where you could have bought all this gold. That's why he's an idiot. We get idiots in the class once in a while.
During this crisis, I had the chance to speak with one immigrant very close to the issue.
So it's been 8 months I am here in Canada, and yeah, it's been very tough, bro.
So why do you decide to move to Canada?
It's because of permanent residency. Like most of my friends told me that if you come here in Canada, then it's been easier to get PR in Canada. So by listening all that shit, I came here in Canada. Yeah.
So far, are you satisfied or dissatisfied with your experience?
Not really.
Do you feel like you're gonna stay here after, or do you want to go back?
No, bro, no. I cannot, bro. I cannot survive here.
That is interesting. A lot of people say that they move to Canada because they're looking for a better life.
But he's not going to go back to India. I guarantee that.
So, on the paper, it look like, but in reality, it's very harsh. Like, yeah, you can if you get the good job, you can. But for international student, it's very hard, bro. In my case, my friends, they still are jobless. They're doing over.
These international students came to Canada full of hope. They were lured here with the promise of a better future.
On 17th of May, they sent us an official email from Alpha College, no one else. They are saying that we are unable to give you seats.
Instead, they're outside their college in Toronto, claiming they've been lied to.
We need explanations.
Sold a second-rate school experience.
We come from our country to here with lots of dreams, with lots of hope. Like we think that college is our family. If college don't think about us, then who will think?
And
they all sound like the guy in The Simpsons, Abu, who runs the 7-Eleven. I mean, you can cry and bitch all you want. You've been fucked. You better do something about it instead of just crying about it. This is the problem. People cry, oh, let's blame the government. No. You've got to be smart enough to understand it on your own, and you better have bought gold and silver. Gold and silver is the cure-all for all this shit. And it happened to Canada, and believe me, it's coming here. It's already here, and it's going to hit Japan, and then it's going to hit China, and then it's going to hit all the BRICS countries. France has a riot going on today because of the election and everything else. This is the problem with the inflation. It kills the money. The prices go up. Nobody can afford shit, but nobody can hire you because nobody can make profit because you fucked your dollar up. That's why you have to have the gold standard. You can never have inflation in the gold standard. It's impossible because you can only have as much money as the gold, and you're just going to come and, you're going to make things that the market wants. And so you'll always have demand. Therefore, you'll always know the price. It doesn't get fucked. What's happening now is that with the dollar being printed, the price, your prices, your costs go up because the dollar's worthless, but you can't charge more because of the prices because nobody can afford it. So everybody goes out, or the boat sinks to the bottom of the Atlantic. So you better have your lifeboat. So if you have gold and silver, you're not crying. You're sitting there going, I got gold and silver. That's why we have gold and silver. That's the whole point. Wake the fuck up and get it now, because soon you ain't going to be able to find it at these prices. And if you're buying 10 ounces of silver to trade it for an ounce of gold, think again. You might not be able to do that. There might not be gold to do it with, because as more of this comes out, more people realize they need gold. It's very limited. 560,000 tons, of which probably 550,000 tons is already gone. It's in the central banks. It's in Russia. It's in China. China's got 65, 70,000 tons. Russia's got 25, 30. India, Saudi Arabia, UAE, South Africa. They all got all the Poland, Czech. They're all buying gold in the central banks. There ain't a lot left. So if you think you're going to take this, now the silver's fine. It'll still be worth 10 ounces of silver. It will be worth an ounce of gold. So you're fine. But just this is why I'm telling you, I'm begging to buy gold and silver. This is the reason. Forget me, right? I'm just the economist, right? I'm defining the rules for you. You got to do it. And that's, again, when I hear these guys, well, this isn't financial advice. Fuck, you don't know what financial advice is. Financial advice is gold and silver. That's just life advice. But what are you going to do okay, so these guys are in the stock market. What are they going to do? Sell their Microsoft so they can live? I mean, and watching that go down, because it's still marked in dollars, Canadian dollars here.
Want Canadians to know their story. The federal government's 10-year push to attract more international students from India has created a massive backlog. 160,000 visa applications waiting to be processed, leaving students in a lurch.
That's government for you.
This agency promises easy and speedy visas. Notice there's no mention of education.
Oh, why aren't they texting me back? Are they mad at me? Do they not like me anymore? I'm scared to ask for reassurance.
Notice there's no mention of education. The ads, the empty promises are everywhere in India.
But while this is the side of the conversation that makes the most noise, few are those that look at the other reason Canada's fast decline: reluctance from governments to behave responsibly and offer more supply.
Housing supply.
The lack of supply that people actually want to buy.
So where are you going to move to? There isn't anything out there. There isn't any supply.
If we can increase housing supply,
the free market does the supply, fellas, not the government. It's just, how stupid are all these people? These are the idiots running the governments. We got to increase the supply. The supply will increase on its own if you take the cost down. Because I'm a builder. Why am I building a house? Because I want to buy the lumber, build the house, and sell it for profit. I bought my house years ago. It was $320,000, I believe. I'm sure it didn't cost him $320,000 to make it, and I was able to buy it. But had it cost him $350,000, he wouldn't make it and sell it for $320,000. So what would he have done? The market says, I'll give you $320,000. Oh, wait, my cost went up to $350,000 because of inflation. So I better, I got to sell it for $400,000. And the prices did go up, but we got in early and got it for $320,000. Unfortunately, I got divorced. So the ex thought I sold her the house. I said, I didn't sell you the house. That was part of the agreement to get divorced and split up the assets. I got the baseball cards, which is worth more than the house. So that it's nothing. The free market solves all this, and a gold-backed currency, and you'd never have this. Now the question is, why are all the Indians trying to get to Canada? What's wrong with India? They're bigger socialists than anybody. They're the biggest socialists. Terrible crime there, terrible inflation. They live like crap there. There's a lot of crime. So everybody wants to leave India, and they're running to Canada. Like, that's, if they were smart, they'd make their own little city, and they'd have free market and gold-backed currency, and they'd be fine. But they don't understand economics, apparently. See how few of us actually understand what the hell's going on and how to cure it. And most people can't, and they all, it's if we had more houses that we could afford. Well, stop doing inflation, and the builders would come. If they can make profit, they will come. But you probably have so many regulations. You unlaissez-faire country. Get the fuck off. invisible hand it, leave it alone. Leave the fucking government out. Let the market handle it. And you wouldn't have this. And you wouldn't have inflation if you had gold-backed currency. So it's very simple solutions, but you've created all these problems and you don't know how to get out of them because you don't know what the fuck you're doing. It's coming here, fellas.
Can bring down prices. I remember being at a public meeting and somebody said, "Can you get the price of housing down by 10%?" And I said, "Hands up if you'd like to see 10% of the equity in your home suddenly disappear overnight."
The solution to this crisis seems very simple. Build more homes. The reality is, 2/3 of Canadians either own a home or live with someone who owns it. There's no benefit for me as a homeowner to vote for someone who would build more houses and make things more affordable, sure, but also bring down the value of my lifelong investment. So most Canadians find themselves stuck, leading to growing shit.
Okay, can somebody explain that to me? Why would your value of your house go down? So if I'm driving a Mercedes, $90,000, and they come out with a new Camry for $20,000 to meet these people, why would my Mercedes be worth less? I don't think so. They're totally different animals. It's like chocolate and vanilla. You know, it's like the price of gold going up will make the dollar worthless. No, there's no correlation. The market dictates your Mercedes is worth $100,000, and the fact that you've come out with Camrys at $20,000 and Fords does not diminish my Mercedes. It's still worth $90,000 because that's what the market will bear. So if we use this logic, where's my Mano card? So Mahomes card's worth something because it's Mahomes in 50. So here's the Barry Bonds card, and there's 100 of his. Okay. So let's say he didn't do steroids and he hit the 7,000 home runs and he's in the Hall of Fame. And this card's worth $10,000 because there's only 100. And here's Mahomes card, and it's only a 50 count. The question is, having the Barry Bonds card, does that diminish the value of the Mahomes card? Does that make it worth less? No. Apples and oranges. They have nothing to do with each other. That's the beauty of Austrian economics. There is no limit. It's not a black box. It's not limited. It's whatever it is, whatever the market will bear. So yeah, 100 count bonds, and he's didn't do the steroids. This card then was worth a fortune. But it has no bearing on this card. This is Mahomes people, and this is Bonds people. They don't, there's no correlation that one, you know, I show you, what do I show you on eBay? I show you the Mantle card, $70,000. I show you the Montana card, 110. I show you, or 125. I show you the Jordan rookie, 500. They don't, that doesn't matter. They're all independent. Mantle buyers, Mahomes buyers, Jordan buyers, Brady buyers. It doesn't matter. That Brady card for $8 million doesn't have a bearing on the Jordan card at $500,000. It's individual. Who do you like? These people are like, what the fuck are they talking about? This is my problem. They talk about shit that they don't know anything about, and people believe them. And that's what I try to fight with you guys about all the time, going, don't watch this video, don't watch that. Because what they're telling you is not real. Lynette Zhang doesn't know what the fuck hyperinflation is. So I'm trying to warn you, don't just listen to her because she says it. She doesn't know what it is. And then I explain it so you do understand what it is, because you get the same shit here. Well, I don't want my housing value going down because they make cheaper houses. How the fuck is that going to make your housing value go down? You live in a $500 or $1 million housing projects, and this one's going to be 250. How does that affect your price? Because the buyers you have to buy the $1 million aren't the same buyers who are going to buy your house. So the guys who are going to buy the Brady card at $8 million are not the buyers that's going to buy my Mahomes card at $2,000, right? So let's say this is $2,000. This buyer and the Michael Jordan buyer and the Brady 10 count $8 million are all different buyers. They're all in different places. They have nothing to do with each other. That's the point of it. So your house is not going to go down in value because there's 300,000, because the buyers are not, look, the buyers who can afford the $300,000 house can't afford your house. So they're not your buyers. They're not your market. You have nothing to worry about. What do you mean your value is going to go down? Believe me, honey, your values are going down because of the inflation, because your house is worthless. Wait till they get a load of that. Your house is worthless because it's priced in Canadian dollars, which is worth less than American dollars. Once you understand that, and you implode because your dollars will be worthless, and the price of your house is going to be zero. And then me and Luke can walk to Canada and say, here's an ounce of gold for your house. And they'll take it because they won't have anything. And the price of gold will be 100,000 an ounce, whatever. It won't even be priced in dollars. It'll be, it's worth a house. That's what gold will be. Gold will be the money and not priced in dollars. All right, let's end this thing.
Of anger within the population.
Do you feel let down by your government?
I feel disgusted by my government. In a lot of ways, yes. That's why I don't really support our liberal policies anymore. They have been talking about having youth affordability, giving them more chances in life, but the way how housing market has inflated and the job economy has not caught up with the prices, they did let us down.
I mean, obviously, I think everybody feels kind of let down. Like, society's meant to be a place where you feel like you have systems in place to help you and support you.
Yeah,
and
it's
I don't
called the
think I
gold
feel
system.
that much here. But I do have hope as well that hopefully, like, people are listened to and then policies are changed and kind of, like, adapted to support younger adults in buying a home and, like, being able to afford living here. So hopefully, but for now, yeah, I would say I feel a little bit let down.
How
As
naive is this
Canadians
girl?
get ready to vote in 2025, only time will tell. They can prevent the fall of their own country.
There's a better way.
So this be the problem. And that's, I mean, but nobody talks about it, right? Here you got France has fallen. Canada's gone. France, it's just the election. I looked at it going, what are they talking about? It hasn't fallen. It's the votes. They voted out Le Pen or whatever, but it's confusing. This guy's an idiot. This Luke Groman, very much Keynesian, very much like a teacher, and he talks in riddles. He's the Riddler. I don't know what he's saying, and I'm not going to waste my time listening. He'll talk like, well, we just need to, instead of calling it inflation or print money, he says something else. Don't waste your time with him. I was watching the 1965 World Series. If you're into that, there's all these World Series. They're like 30 minutes. They're like the football game. So in 30 minutes, you can watch 7 games of the World Series. Problem is they don't have all the highlights, and it's you get thing. If you want, Jack Bauer had I didn't know this, a season 4 prequel. This is after I don't remember. There's a season 5 prequel where he fakes his own death, and then Chloe finds him in Chicago, and they're going after. Okay, here's a good Egon.
Gold and silver will now perform the function both of insurance and wealth preservation and enhancement of your wealth also, because they are relatively now so undervalued and they'll be in high demand. And if you combine that with the futures market disintegrating and eventually disappearing, then you will see price rises that you can't imagine. And combined with, as I said, inflation and hyperinflation. So, but we don't think that people should look at the price. We should just look at it as primarily wealth preservation. But you will get the added benefit of wealth enhancement also. Gold and silver will now.
So what he just said is, when comex goes away. He said when the futures market goes away. So instead of saying comex leaving, he says, well, the future markets will go away. And then he's saying it's wealth preservation. So in Canada, if these people would have bought gold and silver, they'd be fine. Now, I don't know that they all could buy silver, but most of them, like our friend with the $700,000 house, could have bought $400,000 worth of silver, of gold. This guy's out of his pocket. The guy would be a retired millionaire in a couple of years. And then now he owns a house that cost him 700 grand. Yeah, good move there. See, that's what I don't like. If you're not going to listen to me, don't insult me. Don't insult my intelligence. I'm here to help you. And if you're going to ignore it and do the opposite, then what are you doing? You think you're smart that you did that? You killed yourself. Anyway, let's go. There's one other one I was looking at. This guy basically says, I tried to sell thousands of dollars in gold.
This is FTMO, and it's a trading firm that funds traders. If you're 18 or older,
in today's video, we're going to call coin shops all over the U.S. to try and sell my 1-ounce gold American Eagles.
Okay, so what he does is misleading. I tried to sell thousands in gold to coin shops. Here's what they said. And all it is some of them give them spot and some of them are a little bit under spot and one was over spot. So what you'll realize as the demand for gold and silver picks up, like Egon just said, the coin shops will not have inventory. They will pay you over spot. Right now, they don't have to. People aren't smart enough to realize they need to have it. So the price goes up. They're selling because they're going, oh, I bought it at $1,000 an ounce. It's $23.50. Oh, it's at all-time highs. I'm going to sell it. Because they don't think it's going to go any higher, which is exactly what my point is. It's going through the roof. And the key is just to, like Egon's talking about price, and he says, don't worry about price. And that's what I'm saying. All you want is to have it. I don't care what it costs. I just want to own more and more gold. Give me another 10 ounces, another 10. And Luke goes, how much should I get? As much as you can, because you'll never see these prices again. And all of a sudden it's at 10,000 an ounce. Now you're going to ask me how much I should have had, or the diversification of your portfolio. The fuck do you want to own stocks and bonds for, or real estate trust? Own as much gold and silver as you can. It's a fucking lie. It's like betting on Mahomes to win the Super Bowl. Well, maybe should I bet how many yards Kelsey's going to get also? No, put all your money on Kansas City to win the Super Bowl as a dog. Bet on Mahomes. The fuck is, that's it. So I'm just glad I made Bobby money because he said he bet it live, and then KC was getting more points, and then KC won. So I was happy for Bobby, but that's what you're looking at is don't fuck around. There's no reason for diversification. Why do you diversify? So let's look at that. Why would you diversify your portfolio? Because you don't know what the fuck you're doing. And you think if you have money in all these options, one of them will work. Well, if I have Microsoft and Amazon and Apple and Coke and Disney, one of them will go up. I won't lose on all of them. That's why you diversify, because you don't know what you're doing and you don't know which one's going up. But if I know Coca-Cola is going to go up because of the high interest rates, which is what I did a thesis on, I'd put all my money in Coca-Cola and just hope the guy doesn't commit a crime or die, whoever's running Coca-Cola. And that's the beauty of gold. There's no owner of gold. Gold can never be, well, the CFO did some illegal stuff, or he died, or they voted him out, or they committed crimes. You can't get that with gold and silver. It's just money that's come out of the ground, and there's no negative that can come with it. That's the beauty of it. So once the gold hits the fan, you can call any coin shop you want. They'll give you more than spot. because the demand will be huge. So right now there's not as much demand because more people are selling because they're clueless. Basically, they're just clueless. They don't realize that 2,400 is the paper price, not the physical price. The physical price is 10 times more. So if you know the price is going to 20 grand, why the fuck would you sell it 2,300, 2,400? You never would. So that's what's happening. People are bringing it in, then watching it go up to 24. Let's see where we're at now. Did we hit 2450? I doubt today, but we will soon. Let's see. $24.16 and silver 31.43. So you can see the derivative trade's pretty much done. It's just straight lines. There you go. 24.14. That updated. Silver 31.43. But look at silver, 57 cents, and I get $41. That's my bitch about silver. Like, yeah, I ain't gonna make anything in it. And if I can afford gold now, I want to buy it now. That's really the key. Is can I afford gold now? All right, so the object of the game, it is simple, is the dollar not backed by anything will be printed to death. It's happened every time. It's happening now. It's happening in Canada. And look what happens when you print the dollar to death. All your costs go up, but the market doesn't benefit. They can't afford the house. They can't afford the food. They can't afford the electricity. I can either pay my mortgage or I can eat and pay my utilities. I can't do both. That was the first guy, right? That's the inflation. So it's pretty basic. We come out with a medium of exchange, and the medium of exchange is the dollar. And you better back it by gold, because if you don't, this is what happens every single time. A couple thousand times already. This is what killed the Romans. This is what killed Spain. This is what killed France. This is what killed the British pound. And like that example of Hitler trying to print the money to counterfeit all the pounds, dump them, and it would flood the market, and they'd all be worthless. So fucking Hitler figured it out, and yet everybody here can't figure it out. Just amazing. So that's the point. If you don't back it by gold, it gets printed and printed and printed. And then the more it gets printed, the worse it is. So they print more and more and more of it. 1920, Germany, 1923. What did they do? They printed 1 billion marks a day. And how did that help? It made it go to zero because nobody wanted it. It became worthless. And that's what's happening. That's what's happening in Canada and Japan. And it's going to be in Europe, and it's going to be here. You can't escape it. It's coming, right? It's a big snowball rolling down the hill. It's coming. You can't get out of the way. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually it eats you up. And that's what's happening. So it's not. I mean, you have to buy gold and silver. Otherwise, I don't want to hear you bitching like these people. Oh, the government screwed me. Yeah, duh. We knew that was coming. We see what's going to happen. I'm giving you a glimpse into the future, as I normally do with my football picks. I'm telling you what's going to happen. So this is clear evidence of what's going to happen. It's happening in Canada, and we got how many? We got 50 million people coming in. Where are they living? The tents? Are they moving into Caesars or Las Vegas casinos? They're in New York City in the hotels. And how are they going to be? Where are they going to live? They have no money. They have no jobs. They have no skill set. They're just criminals. What's going to happen? Oh, I'm so excited it didn't hurt. So I feel like I got my appetite back and I'm more awake. Yesterday I thought I was all over the place. Very tired. Anyway, that's why you have to process your food out. Then it stimulates you. So that's what is reality, and you either face it or you get the consequences. Oh, the government screwed me, this and that. Well, we know the government's going to screw all of us. And how do we fight back? And the only way we can fight back is to have gold and silver. That's your fight. It's hidden. Nobody knows you have it. Nobody can come after you for it. You put it in a safe, you put it in a locker at the airport, you buy one of these safes and put it in the U-Haul locker. There's storage bins all over. Just make sure that nobody else has the key. So when you buy it, say, look, I'm the only one with the key. You can't go into my locker. I would hope that's how it works. And then just put your gold and silver in there if you're worried about it. There's no storage cost. There's no insure. You don't insure it because you don't know what to insure it for. You don't want to insure it. If you insure it, then everybody knows you have it. So you don't insure it. You are quiet. Nobody knows you have it. And that's how you like it. And that's why I got all the white containers. If I'm traveling to Switzerland, I have a bulk load of gold in my white silver container. And all of a sudden I got 11 ounces of gold on me that nobody knows. It's in my pocket. You have no idea. Or I might have 5 ounces in my pocket like this, in my plastic, in my pocket. And nobody knows. And I walk into the bank and say, I don't have to pay tax because I'm an American citizen and this is Switzerland. Wonderful. Yes. Transfer my money here or open up an account there or whatever you want to do. We'll have to get more into that. Do you open up account at Egon's Bank and have, 250, 50,000 an ounce? You got 250,000 Swiss francs or whatever Egon's giving us. Gold-backed currencies. That's what you do. But we know BRICS gets it. Why is BRICS going on a gold-backed currency? Why? Why would they? Why don't they go with the Canadian and the American way? No, we're not going to back it. We're not going to have gold because they know it doesn't work and they know gold's the only thing that works. That's why they're doing it. They get it. China's got 65,000 tons of gold. They get it. Russia, Putin, 25,000 tons of gold. I think he gets it. So just open your eyes. That's what they're doing. Go buy as much as you can. And I don't mean 10 ounces of silver. I mean 20 ounces of gold if you can afford it, or at least, a couple 100 ounces of silver if you can, or go buy quarter ounces for $650. Go buy those. They'll add up. And before you know it, you'll have 5 of them, 6 of them. Hey, flamethrower. You believe in the Matrix, the 13 families centralizing gold and silver. I apologize, flamethrower. I'm not quite sure what you're saying. 13 families centralizing gold and silver. One of them's got to be Chinese and one of them's got to be Russian because I know they're controlling it. I do know there's Rothschilds and the rich families. I do know they own a lot of gold. So, okay, but I'm talking about us. Just go buy your gold and silver as much as you can, as fast as you can. We see it. It's at 24.15 right now. And nobody thought it'd be there but me, 24.15. I'm calling for much higher gold because there's no other option. It has to go up. And the U.S. is holding out. No, we can't let it because the U.S. doesn't have any gold. Russia and China and all the BRICS have all this gold. And if we let the gold price go up, we're fucked because they have the gold and we don't. And that's why we're trying to hold it down, but we can't. So talk to me, flamethrower. Do I believe in the Matrix? Kind of. I kind of think that most people try to hide stuff from us and prevent us from seeing what's really going on. A lot of the government does that. But this is what I'm doing is I'm breaking the matrix, talking about economics, Austrian economics, gold and silver. And I believe that's breaking the we're entering the matrix with that conversation, that you realize the dollar's being printed to zero and everybody talks about housing and people coming into the country, but they're not talking about gold and they're not talking about inflation. Why isn't Canada talking about gold and inflation? because they're matrixed. Yes, I do agree with that. And I do agree this is the only way out, but nobody will listen. Everybody sits there and then nobody, I'm a conspiracy theorist. Some guy at the gym told me. Why am I conspiracy? This isn't a conspiracy. This is reality. I'm telling you the truth. You don't want to listen. You're the conspiracy guy. 13 families centralizing gold, silver, etc. I'm sure there's rich families. I know like Gates and those idiots and Buffett don't own any gold. They're too stupid to own gold. Most of them will go broke. I'm sure the Rothschilds and the JP Morgans, those type of people, I'm sure have a lot of gold. They can't get it all because the central banks have it, but I'm sure they have a lot. I'm confused why they're not allowing the price to go up then. If they have it all, they probably want the price to go up. Like I want the price to go up on my Mahomes card. I hope this goes to $10,000 for this card. Why wouldn't I want it to go up? So I don't really get that they're keeping the price down. But it is interesting. But yeah, the matrix. I'm breaking the matrix for us right now with my talk on gold and Austrian economists. That's why nobody knows anything about Austrian economists or gold or inflation. Nobody knows what inflation is. It's prices going up. No, idiots. It's the money being printed. Listen to Hitler. He wanted to print the British pound. That's what inflation is. Why is it so hard to understand that concept? I don't understand. Anyway, that's really what it is. So buy as much as you can. You have to, because if you're at 1,600, you never would have thought gold would get over 2,000, right? If you didn't think it would go over 2,000, you might not have bought, or had it hit 2,000, you wouldn't be a buyer. And now it's 2,400. Well, now what do you do? Well, it can't go any higher. Well, it's paper gold, you moron. Wait for the physical to come. And that's when we're going to see the fireworks, is the physical gold. Because all the banks want it, because they're the ones really running everything. But there's a lot of people with gold. It's just we buy ounces, not tons. I can't buy a ton. I wish I could. I wish I had 32,000 ounces of gold. Then I'd be on a beach somewhere owning an island. But that's the thing. You just don't know with that. But again, they buy tons, we buy ounces. So yeah, the Rockefellers probably own, 1,000 tons. I doubt they own 60,000 tons like China does. But that's really what it's at. It's just, that's the little hidden game that, did you hear anybody in Canada talk about gold? They don't even have gold. In their central bank, they don't have gold. The Royal Bank of Canada has this much gold. The U.S., and I'll argue with Luke all day and night, has no gold. That's theirs. There might be gold in it. It's China's that they've sold to China. They just haven't taken delivery. They go, oh yeah, it's safe. It's in the U.S. Fine. But what did the African countries do? They just said, I want my gold. And what did Germany do? They wanted their gold. Give me my gold back. I don't trust you. And it wouldn't surprise me if the U.S. stole the gold that's China's in Fort Knox. So that's the matrix that I'm unfolding here, is the whole key to life is gold and silver, because they can't print it, and the government controls everything, and the government prints and inflates and makes it worthless. And that's why Canada has the housing crisis because of the inflation. And the builders can't build the houses cheap enough to satisfy the people. I don't know where it's getting, Canada. I mean, what are you going to do with all these people living in tents? This is the country you want to have? I mean, I just don't get, if I'm running a country, how that benefits me by having all these people coming. I'm making money. No, I'm not making it. The money's worthless, so I don't know what I'm making. So I don't get it. It just is really stupid what they're doing, but let the governments have fun thinking they're getting rich off of dollars that are worthless. So it's like Monopoly. Anyway, let's look at what's going on in baseball quickly. Any other questions? Good question, Flamethrower. Appreciate it. We got Toronto 5-2 in the bottom of the 8th against the 49ers. We got the Tigers beat Cleveland 10-1. We got Cincinnati 8-1 over Colorado. The Mets 7-0 over Washington, and Pittsburgh. The Pirates defeated the Packers 1-0. Paul Scanes 6-0 with the 190. What a beautiful under against Aaron Chevalier 0-1 with the 397. It's funny, this Arnalds Chapman. He's played on every team. He was on the Yankees. He was on Cincinnati. Now he's on Pittsburgh. He was at 5 other teams. He throws it 102, but you never know where it's going. So it's just funny. This Chapman's he's got a 4.01 ERA. How the hell can you hit the guy? So that is baseball. The remainder, I got Philly under 9.5, 3 units. Baltimore under 8.5. Is that 3 or 5? I think it's 5. Boston 3 units. Houston over 8.5, 5 units, and Atlanta 3 units. Those are my picks for tonight. We've talked about football and college football. We'll review them maybe this weekend. Just update the lines. I know we don't. Hey, July 27th, the NFL training camp's open. I hear the Lions actually selling tickets to go see their training camp. I'll give you this story. This is how stupid the Lions are. So I'm at Oakland University going to college in the 80s. And, you know me, I always football. So I had an Oakland Raider. So imagine this is an Oakland Raiders shirt, right? The big skull and crossbones, Oakland Raiders. What is this? And so I'm wearing it. And I go to school there. So after class, I'm on the track or I'm hitting golf balls or something. And the Lions practice is going on. Now I got my Black Raiders shirt on. And the guy from the Lions comes over and says, well, you can't watch practice. You might be a Raiders scout. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a Raiders scout. That's why I'm wearing the Raiders shirt. Yeah, I'd be that stupid to wear a Raiders shirt to go scout your team. You out of your fucking mind? You should be asking myself, why aren't I wearing a Lions shirt? Because you guys suck and I won't wear a Lions jersey. But this is how stupid they are. Yeah, I'm hitting golf balls off to the side. I'm not even watching your practice, and I can't watch because I got a Raiders jersey on. Oh my God! This is why you guys are always 8-8 every year, and you suck because you're the stupidest people I've ever seen. Let's just say I was a Raiders scout. Maybe I would put a Lions jersey on and not a Raiders jersey if I was a Raiders scout. I never laughed so hard in my life. I mean, I thought, dude, I'm over here hitting golf balls. I'm not interested in your practice. I think I saw it the first day and it was okay, fine. A little bit of throwing, a little bit of, I don't even think they tackled. They hit the dummies. So basically, yeah, okay, you guys might win 6 games this year. I get it. I think Billy Sims was on the team that year. And I'm like, I have no interest in watching you guys practice. Maybe if it was the Raiders, but at that time they didn't have Snake Stabler or Dave Casper, Bolitnikoff, so there wouldn't have been a reason to go watch them. But that's the point. This is how stupid they are. Yeah, I'm a Raiders scout wearing a Raiders T-shirt. And you just talk about Matrix, right? Those are the Matrix people. Anyway, so we can talk pro or college anytime. Just bring it up. And we'll go through the lines again. I've went through the book. And I don't know. I'm struggling what to do with my sheet. So I don't know what to do here. Like here in the beginning, I wrote Florida State's an under team, Georgia Tech's an over team. But as I get into it, I'm not sure what, UTEP and Nebraska. I don't know what I got. I mean, UTEP kind of sucks. Nebraska kind of is an under team. So I don't know how to mark them because of last year from this year. I think those Nebraska is still being under team because Matt Rule's an under coach. But what do I do with Michigan? I mean, the whole team's gone. The running back's gone, the quarterback's gone, the coach is gone, the defensive coordinator's gone, most of the offensive line's gone. It's and the new coach, we have no idea. So Ohio State, they're going to be explosive. So there's certain teams it doesn't matter. All I can say is week one to stay with the teams you know. Cam Rising's back, Georgia, Ohio State. Pretty much go with the bread and butter. Don't fuck around with James Madison. You don't know what you have yet, or Troy or Rice. Leave those games for another couple weeks. Once we know what those teams are, then we can hammer them. But right now, Clemson, Georgia, not a problem. We'll go Georgia, right? But Eastern Michigan and UMass, what do we got? Miami and Florida. I'm very tempted to take Florida as a home dog there. You got to be kidding. So people think that the quarterback Ward, who came from Washington State, who wasn't all that there, got all his yards at Incarnate Ward, the Division II school. And he threw for a lot of yards, but that's him running around. And then at Washington State, he didn't do much. And now he's at Miami, and they want to, look, he's got 13,000 yards. Yeah, 10 of it was high school. So you really don't have an idea. The guy, and he's going to go to Florida and beat Florida at Florida. Really? With the coach, he doesn't know how to take a knee. Oh, okay. Yeah. You couldn't do it with Van Dyke. Van Dyke's a lot better than this guy. So, good luck there. But that's my point. I just be careful. I mean, you can get away with that. Notre Dame, A&M, I think we can tease the dog or go under. What do you do with Wyoming, Arizona State? You don't really know. They got new coach, new players. LSU, USC should hit 100. We can go over there. Speaking of that, I was watching one of that 1960, I think it was the 1959 World Series. It was the Minnesota Twins and the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers had just moved from Brooklyn, I think, in 58. And guess where they played their games? It was unbelievable. They were playing at the Coliseum where USC plays football. They had 94,000 people at the World Series in 1959, and the field looked ridiculous. It was like a short left field fence because the way it was designed, this is the football field. Over here is the baseball, where they put the baseball field. And so the left field thing was to here was very short. But then right field, they had a fence way out there where it kind of fenced. Why can't I do this? It fenced around. So it was a pretty deep center and right field, but a very shallow left field. 94,000 people, 1959. And the funny part is LA just moved there. What kind of crowd base could they have? All the Dodger fans were from Brooklyn. They weren't LA. And then the one thing I noticed, Sandy Koufax didn't pitch till game 5. He lost 1-0, but he didn't look like they were actually getting hits off of him. 3 or 4 guys got hits off of him. Like, oh, that's not Sandy Koufax. He didn't have the speed on his fastball, and I didn't see a lot of curves, although I didn't see all the pitches of the batters. But for them to hit him, it wasn't the normal Sandy Koufax. But he gets better. And the big thing I'm noticing in these World Series, I was watching the 66 World Series, the Cardinals, who are they playing? Were they playing Minnesota? They weren't playing the Yankees. The Yankees kind of died in 64 where they were. And how this 59 was the Brooklyn Dodgers against the Minnesota. I mean, they had Harmon Killebrew and Tony Oliva, but it was like, what are they doing there? And mostly it's Yankees. And So you had the Yankees and Cardinals in 64, and it'd blow this baseball away because Bob Gibson pitched on 2 days rest, a complete game in game 7. So he wins game 1 and then loses game 4 and then comes back for game 7, like 2 days later, he's on 2 days rest. So he rested game 5 and 6, and then he pitched a complete game in game 7. Now it would be, oh, we'd hurt his arm. Oh, he can't possibly go there. And if the manager tried to take Gibson out, he'd have killed him. But that's the difference. Gibson pitched on 2 days rest. Mel Stottlemyre was the Yankees guy. He pitched on 2 days rest. They didn't give a shit. And they were fine. I mean, but that's how Gibson was. So he'd pitch 3 World Series games. Now it'd be like, well, you can pitch game 1, you'll come back for game 6. Oh yeah, and we need 5 pitchers for the World Series. You can't find 5 that you'd want to pitch in the World Series. So anyway, that was what I noticed the most. Koufax, I think it's 64 against the Yankees. I think it was either that or 63. But Koufax pitched the Yankees, and the Yankees actually beat them. And then Bob Gibson, then the Cardinals had Gibson. So the 2 teams with the best pitchers made the World Series 5 or 6 years. Like the Cardinals were there 64, 66, 67, 68. I know 67 against Boston, 68 against Detroit, 64 against the Yanks, I believe, and then 65 or 6. And the only reason they weren't is the Dodgers were in it in 65 or 6. But anyway, I'm noticing they only had 3 pitchers. So it was like Drysdale, Gibson, and Claude Osteen or something. And the Yankees had Whitey Ford and, I don't know, a couple other guys, Mel Stottlemyre. And that was it. And then one guy come out of the pen if they got there. You didn't go to the pen with Koufax, Don Drysdale, or Gibson. You very rarely brought in a reliever. They pitched the whole game. Funny how, our guys we can only pitch 5 innings now. They might get hurt. What the fuck happened? So these guys can go on 2 days rest and pitch 9-inning complete games. Who knows the pitch count? Didn't matter. They were going the whole game and winning it. Koufax won. Gibson won. What the fuck? Oh no, he pitched. Sorry, he's thrown 100. He's thrown 90 pitches. We got to take him out. What, are you kidding? If Leo DeRocher could wake up out of his grave, he'd roll over. He'd be like, what the fuck's going on? I bring him up because he was on the one on the Munsters when Herman would try out for the Dodgers. That was so funny. But that's really the difference. I don't understand it. Football. So anyway, it was that. Speaking of that, getting back to LSU, USC and the long way around. We have the coach, LSU's coach, Brian Kelly. So we know they're going to be explosive and score. So I'm sure he got his quarterback ready. And then we have USC. Well, they're running the same offense that they could put anybody at quarterback, and he's going to light it up, which is why I warned you against Caleb. And I warned you against Jalen Hurts, and I warned you against Kyler Murray. It's smoke and mirrors. So that game should be high. It's only a 62 now. Seems really low, but it's not in the 70s, which is where it should be. This is going to be an explosive, high-scoring game. Basically, USC with Riley is just the run and shoot. It's what Houston used to run with Andre Ware, and a few of the pro teams tried, and it didn't work. But that's what he runs. So it's just throw the ball all over the place, which makes your quarterback look a lot better than he is, and the team can't play defense because you don't rest your defense. You're fucked. And we saw him against the good teams, Utah and USC and Notre Dame. They didn't show up. They were killed. The only teams they could beat were Colorado and Arizona State, and Washington beat them by 10. Oregon, I don't know if they played them last year, would have killed them. But that's the thing. So, like a game like that, you kind of look at the Notre Dame A&M. Maybe you play it under, but that's the games to stay with. Do not worry about New Mexico, Arizona. That's how bad New Mexico should be bad this year, but Arizona is pretty good. But Fresno State, Michigan. I think Fresno State can beat them. I think they can play them a game. Oh, they're getting 21 fucking points. I can get 27 points and Mikey Keene. Probably not a bad play. I mean, how good can Michigan be with a whole new defensive coordinator, a whole new defense, a whole new quarterback, a whole new coach? They're going to just go out and win 54-0 with the whole everything new? I don't think so. So that's where I'm at. And the same in the pros. All right. Oh, Mahomes. Oh, Joe Burrow's back. Okay. Oh, Aaron Rodgers is back. So it's pretty obvious who you can bet on. Or maybe you got the over in the Lion game, or the Philly Green Bay game looks like a good over. And then you struggle with, why are the Bears favored? Why is Caleb favored? He didn't look good in college, and he's playing in the pros. Tennessee kind of sucks. Neither team's got a quarterback. Pretty good defenses. How the hell is this game? How can Chicago lay 4.5 to anybody? All right, Caleb might get lucky and throw a few passes in his first game, and then everybody will realize what he does if they don't already. The best you're looking at there is 17-14 Chicago. If they can get 17, it'll be low scoring. That's for sure. And that's part of what you're looking at is okay. I know Caleb's starting. I know New England is starting Brissett. I know Minnesota. There's no way they're starting J.J. McCarthy. He sucks. Dallas, now news is Prescott has a boot on. So what's he doing? How serious is it? Is it a broken foot? Why else isn't he? If it's sprained, why would he have a boot on? So he's got either a high ankle sprain or something. So is he going to be ready in a month? Even if he is, he sucks. But let's say he is. That's why. So if you see Cleveland go to 2-3, you know why. It's Prescott. But and then Dallas has to. Who's their backup? It's going to be Trey Lance. Oh my God, that'll be a nightmare. And the Niners and the Jets should be an under, and then you got Miami, Jacksonville should be an over. Miami's an over team. Buffalo, pretty over team. So you got your teams ranked, and then it's Pittsburgh with Russell Wilson. You think Russell Wilson should be good. Atlanta, are they starting Penix? Are they going to be stupid and start Cousins? Cousins is terrible. I don't know. You might start him the first 4 or 5 games and then get Penix in there. But I wouldn't wait too long on Penix if you want to make the playoffs. Penix is ready. He had good coaching, much better than Atlanta's coaching. So, I mean, that's what you do in week 1. You kind of go with, okay, well, we'll go with Mahomes and Burrow. We know what we're getting out of him, but we don't know what we're getting out of some of these guys that suck or we don't know about. And that's really it. But that's what you're always looking for, variables, and you're looking for, who's got the best defense and best quarterback, and that's Kansas City. And we'll see Lamar struggle. He might do all right in the first game, but we'll see him struggle because this KC defense, they know how to handle Lamar. They did it in the championship game, 17-10. It was really 17-3. Didn't they run a punt back? Oh, no, that was the Houston game. Everybody's so enamored with C.J. Stroud. Oh, Houston this and that. They got killed by Baltimore. I mean, it wasn't even close. So how good is Houston? Really? Now, had they went in and beat Baltimore like Joe Montana did, then I would have said, yeah, C.J. Stroud's a good quarterback. Anyway, I think we have what we want. I think we know what's happening in money and economics, the inflation and the gold. I think there's no question what to do there. You go and buy, and you go to the SD Bullion, or if you're lucky enough, like I have a coin store, jewelry store, a couple miles away, I just go in and buy. And I talk to them, and I try to set them that it's you're selling it at paper gold prices. Do you realize that? I don't think he does. He's, oh, I got to pay rent. So don't you sell jewelry? Like, you only sell gold in the jewelry store? You can't sell jewelry? Like, why do you have it then? Why don't you just be a gold store? But so that's it. We know what to do. We know what's happening, and that's it. So we should do, we'll be fine. But that's the only protection you have. You have no other protection. All these Canadians are fucked because they don't have the gold and silver. So they're fucked, and they're sitting there. What do? And they really have no clue. And they want to bitch at the government. It's like, I don't want to hear it. We know the government's corrupt. We know it's run by idiots. So we can't complain. We know what we got. So I don't even go there. I don't even talk about the government because we know what it is, right? So I'm not sure Trump's the answer because the swamp's the swamp. And Trump talks tough, but he added a lot of debt also, and we're not on the gold standard. He had 4 years. And now look at the trouble we're in. So I don't know how much is in Fort Knox, and I doubt there's 8,000 tons. I doubt there's 8 tons. So can we go on the gold standard? Can we go on the BRICS gold standard? BRICS is on our U.S. dollar. They were. I mean, Russia and China, everybody was able to use the U.S. dollar as the reserve currency. Can we use their gold-backed currency? I don't know. It's just a question. I'm not sure. It'd be nice because if I sell my gold, I want gold-backed currency. I might go to Russia to sell it to get Russian rubles, to get the BRICS gold-backed currency. And so I don't want the dollar. So if I sell my gold for $20,000 an ounce, I don't want this. I'm sure I don't want this. I would like that BRICS gold-backed currency, gold back. That I'll take. But I don't want. I'm trying to get off the Titanic. I don't want to get back on it. All right, I think that's it. Good luck on baseball tonight if you're betting it. Once again, Philly under 9.5, Baltimore under 8.5, Boston, Houston over 8.5, and Atlanta. And good luck. They keep with these Thursday 1 o'clock. The Tigers are on at 1 o'clock on Thursday. I'm thinking, is today Saturday? Did I miss a couple of days here? Anyway, that's what's going on. So please be careful. Have a nice night. Not too much sugar. And off we go. All right. I will see you tomorrow about 2-ish, 2 or 3-ish, and then on the weekends at 11 in the morning, just to go through the games because there's a lot more 1 o'clock games. And outside of that, I think that's it. And I will leave you there. All right. So have a good night, everybody. www.teaserking.com if you want to email me something, or just feel free to come in and do what Flamethrower did and just put a comment down. 13 families, huh? Centralizing gold and silver. See, I don't think that would work. I think one family would want it all because it's greed. And I don't know that it gets divided by 13, but let me check that out, Flamethrower. All right. Have a nice day, everybody. I am out. Gonna have some dinner. Ciao.